G'day and welcome to the Investor Motivation Podcast. My name's Robert Gowdy and I've got
Amy Lehman again.
G'day Amy. As you can see, there's a little bit of Christmas action behind us. 1st of December. Friday is when we usually do our podcast, when we have the motivation and creativity rolling.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you suggested we do a Christmas joke because I have a Christmas joke.
We did ponder whether this Christmas joke should be said or not, but here we go.
Our clients liked it the other day. Christmassy. Christmas joke. Needed to buy a new Christmas tree. It's probably not a new Christmas joke, but it's one I think is harmless and funny. But I had to buy a new Christmas tree, and I went to the checkout. It was quite a large Christmas tree, and the person said, "Are you going to put it up yourself?" And I said, "No, I'll probably put it into the living room." So there's my Christmas joke. No one got hurt. And yes, it will go up in the Christmas tree. So what are we chatting about today, Amos?
Today we're going to do a couple of case studies of client scenarios we've had throughout the week.
Yep.
And that we just thought, it could be beneficial for a lot of people to hear.
Yeah, I thought they were quite an interesting ones. So we've got 3 different scenarios. So we'll, of course, never talk about clients' names, but just broadly what we're chatting about with clients, the things we've been asked and what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so if we're seeing that in our office, there's clearly people that will be thinking about it in their own lives.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool. Before we get into all of that, though, I'll just do the acknowledgement of land. On behalf of the Investor Motivation Podcast, we would like to pay our respects to the traditional owners on which we record this podcast and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amy. All right, where do we start?
Probably we'll start with the charitable giving one, seeing as it's coming around to Christmas time. People might be wanting to, gift and give to charity especially. Maybe you take the lead on this one. It's your appointment, this one?
Yeah, and definitely in a day of, I suppose, the years of abundance that, there's a lot of wealth around. People don't need things as much. And as you get older, I've worked out that you need less material items. So having more stuff is generally not on people's agenda. More experiences definitely is. But instead of providing more gifts and lollies to people that they don't want, that providing a gift to a charitable organisation is an option. But the scenario that I had this week was a wealthy retired farmer. High income, probably around $350,000-$400,000 of taxable income.
And it was quite an elderly person and didn't have immediate family members, did they? So when it's, when you're looking at the estate and where the money will actually go down the track, it's always been their ideal to give it to charity because there is no immediate family member to inherit the wealth.
Definitely relatives, but as part of the will, there's definitely a lot that's going to go to charity. So I suppose what we sort of spoke about, and this is more the client's idea than mine, that from a tax point of view, it's far more beneficial to gift progressively along the way, and because he's on the highest marginal tax rate, that's 47%. If he's paying that and then just building up the assets, which is already more assets and more income than what he needs, it's well above his, I suppose, his requirement for income to live and do the fun stuff that he enjoys. So gifting it away now to charitable organisations that allow you to get a tax deduction, I think provides many benefits. One is, say he gives $100,000 away, it saves $47,000 in tax.
It's huge.
So that's a huge amount of money. Do we trust the government to be efficient with that money? Well, probably not. No. So he gets the benefit of, the charitable organisations get the benefit of $100,000, a full $100,000, rather than getting it after tax via the estate. So,
not only that financial aspect of it, the psychological impact that he actually gets to see the benefit of, the charity being able to use that in their funding and whatever their, goal might be. That's massive on you as well. You feel good about yourself. You feel good, for your impact on the world. People, I think, often talk about leaving behind a legacy as opposed to, making your name a legacy while you're alive. And I think that's just an awesome thing to do.
So obviously makes the client feel good for gifting. Saving tax is a good thing. And also the charitable organisation gets the money now to do more good stuff. And of course, these are, charities that this chap really believes in.
Yeah.
So, I think it's far more tax effective, depending on what your taxable income is, but far more tax effective to do it progressively rather than just one lump sum when you hit your estate. But of course, you can do both.
Yeah, of course, and it will always be in his will to still leave the large sum of money that he's got, portionally to charity.
Yeah, very good. The other one, and this was a reoccurring theme across a number of people that got in contact with us, and they're from larger cities, a lot larger than what we're living in here in Horsham, but obviously investment properties was a key theme of what we see in negative gearing.
Yes.
And it means their balance sheet, and some of these properties have done quite well where they've grown, but the associated debt with it was quite high.
They had benefited the capital value growth quite a lot, and one of them was just about to come off of a 2.5% interest rate on the property that's already negatively geared, and then it's going to be going on to a 7%. Their cash flow would just be so much more restricted and eat into their actual income to fund that interest.
Yeah. So this is obviously, it's probably, these debt levels that the banks have trained us that it's a good thing. We've had 40 years of resi property capital growth. And obviously interest rates are definitely having an effect, and inflation is starting to tail back a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're about to get some big tax cuts. Can that ramp up inflation again? Possibly. Yeah. We don't know what the medium effect will be on that. But the things that I've thought about with these clients, we've, even where they have had some great capital gains, which is good, is lack of diversification.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, it's a big bet, a lot of money on one asset.
Yeah.
So from investment point of view,
not being diversified is never what we want.
Yep. And obviously, so very concentrated. There's an opportunity cost. Could you do better elsewhere in the coming years? And of course, that's a whole podcast in itself and a debate that property people will gladly take on.
Yeah.
But debt levels. Debt should also be seen as risk.
Yeah. And restrictive of future opportunity. Strangling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It strangles your future opportunities because you don't have the cash flow to support what you want to do and other things that might be more strategic and beneficial for you.
And so what we're angling at there is some of the low-hanging fruit. Amy, if you don't have the cash flow because you're really snookered by these negatively geared properties, it doesn't allow you to do a simple superannuation strategy. Yeah,
salary sacrifice, concessional contributions into super is the best low-hanging fruit that we all have available to us, and that $27,500 a year taxed at 15% rather than your marginal tax rate, which the highest is the 47%. It's a massive advantage, and I think people are just still so stuck on, bricks and mortar. It's an asset that we can see rather than money in super. It's locked away. We can't see it. We can't touch it. Can't access it. And the interest on investment properties is tax deductible. So I'll spend $1 on interest to claim 30 cents back on tax deduction.
Yeah. So it's one we've spoken about in the past that, there is no investment that anyone can guarantee to save under the current tax rates. If someone's earning between 45 grand and 120 at the moment, the tax rate with Medicare is 34.5%. You salary sacrifice into super of a concessional contribution, you'll pay 15. That is 19.5% guaranteed saving each and every year. So that's the low-hanging fruit, and I can just see that, from the people we're chatting to, that having high amounts of debt really restricts the opportunity of using that easy free kick.
Yeah, and I think the best part about that as well is that, dollar you go into superannuation that's taxed at 15%, that whole 85% is being invested into the markets and is still there for you. It's not, lost or wasted money. It's not an expense. It's actually an investment, whereas the interest that is also tax deductible is interest that's gone. You don't see the benefits of that dollar anywhere else.
And it can be diversified.
Yeah,
and if people are hell-bent on property, you can go and buy a property fund within your superannuation, which is just pure property.
Yeah, and if you don't have property on the outside of super, other than your own home, any investment in property will always be diversified and have your property, your infrastructure, your shares, your term deposits and cash. So always be diversified. And I think just this week especially, we've just had those appointments with a couple clients that have had multiple investment properties each, and it was the same story of my cash flow is restricted, like what should I do? So it's
So I thought that was a really interesting one, and obviously very common one. And probably the key difference for us, being country advisors, chatting to bigger city clients, is that the values of the property are high and the debt is higher. And that was the key difference. Next one was, and this was a great chat we had yesterday with some prospective clients, and it was essentially they were doing most things pretty right. They had, superannuation was fine.
They would definitely, accumulating their wealth at a great pace and have already accumulated so much, but would maybe for 10 years off retirement and just making sure, are we on the right track? What will it actually look like? How will we, because they've been on great incomes for the past 20 years, how will we maintain the current lifestyle we've got without working? So there was a little bit of stress, I think, noticeably on each person, just to, wrap their head around where will the income actually be generated from. And we did a quick projection out based on current assets and future income for the next 10 years while they're still working, and it showed to maintain their current lifestyle, it was very achievable. And I think we physically saw them still looking at the projector and being like, well, how is that right? They were just in a bit of disbelief because they'd never actually looked forward to think about it in that much depth. And being able to do those projections, I think, is the key point of knowing you've got financial stability, what you need to do to get there, if you need to put in any extra, or you're fine.
And I think it's the slouching in the chair of relief, where people are, you can nearly see the relief where they just they relax in their chair. That we've gone through all these scenarios that full time for the next 2 years. After that, you might go to part-time. And we can put all that in for, part-time for 5 years, and the income reduces from there, and then at some stage it just relies solely on investments. But you can throw in all these different scenarios. And I think it's one of the best things you can do to make our clients feel really comfortable and safe, and it means you take away this huge stress around. They can walk out to say, well, geez, now we know what our options are. Rather than, it's just hard to see the wood for the trees.
And we even showed, at age 85 or whenever, there's still enough money there if you do need to be going into a home, because one of their goals was to retain that family, the homestead, for the younger generation. And they just went, oh, that wasn't even something we thought about, but how good. They just didn't visualise the future, and that projector enabled that. And I firmly believe as we become better advisors, and we talk about investing, that's what we love to chat about, and the businesses that that we love to invest into, and payout ratios and debt to equity ratio, all that stuff's important, and returns are important. All that stuff's good fun, but that's the short-term stuff. We want to educate our clients around that, but I don't want that to be the focus. I want them to know they feel safe, financially secure, then they can go and have fun. And we didn't actually do this with the clients we saw this week, but they mentioned they might in 1 year spend $50,000 nearly on holidays and having fun, and that might not happen every year, but can we actually do that in retirement as well as maintain that every day-to-day stuff? And you can plug into that projector in year 5 you'll spend another $50,000, and then 5 years later $50,000, and it just shows you what retirement can look like, what happens to your estate value if that's something you want to leave behind, if you have that extra fun. And it just actually lets you make informed decisions on what you can spend, what the impact is if you spend more and less. And
what we do with our clients when we do these projections, these are obviously, we use them a lot. It's obviously at the start of the relationship, but they're not one-offs. They're progressive, they change. Definitely talk to your financial advisor about doing some of these to fully understand. If you worry about will have enough money to last.
Yeah.
And it gets complex because there's Centrelink and there's couples, there's singles, things we've spoken about in the past. Lots of factors which can turn things upside down, but they can provide a huge amount of security and make you feel good. And that's what we want to achieve for our clients. So they walk out here relieved, saying, yep, we're fine.
Yeah, it's hugely beneficial.
Fantastic. One other one, which we didn't have written down, was, for those that have built up certain wealth and accumulated wealth or inherited wealth, they're making sure that their estate planning is done, that testamentary trust, which gives the next generation the option only to set up a trust to hold their assets that they would receive from the estate. Yep. And those testamentary trusts are written into a will, and I have one. So when I pass away, my children will have the option for their assets to go into their own individual trust. So not one trust for 4 children. It'll be
4 separate trusts.
4 separate trusts if they choose to. And the reason why you would do that is the assets within the testamentary trust are safeguarded from bankruptcy or litigation, and also the income from that trust can be distributed to lots and lots of different people, including children under the age of 18 at adult tax rates. Now, for me, that's not the motivation, but it's another benefit. It's more about the bankruptcy, the litigation, particularly for people that are self-employed and that can be sued. So it's another interesting one to look at.
And we all know the adult tax rates, but for minors, if you're earning over that $460, they get taxed at 45% rather than they don't have that tiered 18%, etc.
Cool. I think there's even a penalty above that, the highest tax rate as well, which I might put you in the 60s. Can't remember exactly.
It's massive. So whilst that isn't the selling factor, it is another massive advantage if it's a financially orientated decision to do that.
Fantastic. All right, I reckon that's a good one. We'll make sure we do a few more case studies because I find they're really interesting, and we have these conversations each and every day. So we're very fortunate in our position to help people and see new scenarios.
Definitely.
And we will share. Cool.
All right.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.